again. I've put a video together on how to rejuvenate the acrylic plastic lenses on your headlights. I've had a couple of people ask me how it's done. I mean, this isn't new knowledge, but it's worth showing you how I do it. The acrylic lenses have been on motor cars for about 20 years now. It's a safety issue for pedestrians mainly. The only problem is that the UV light tends to oxidise the plastic after a while, and you get a layer of yellow oxidised material. You don't need to spend huge amounts of money on expensive restoration headlight kits. It's not necessary. You just need to buy some wet and dry grit paper from your local hardware store. They cost you usually less than $1 a sheet. I'd recommend you buy a sheet of 800 grit, 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000. If your headlights are really bad, get a sheet of 600 as well. And then you just progressively rub back the lenses until you finish off with the 2000 grit, and then you polish it and they'll come up like brand new. And then if you polish them regularly, that'll protect them from UV light. So the car I'm doing it on is my neighbour's car. It's got the most dreadful headlights I've seen. So I've done one headlight and the other one still looks as bad as ever, so hopefully you'll feel guilty and do the other one after watching my video. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks. So this is actually my neighbour's car, and every time I drive past the car and see his headlights it makes me cringe. I don't know how he can sleep at night with headlights like this. It even causes me to toss and turn. So I'm going to show you how to rejuvenate the acrylic lenses that are now standard fitment on all motor cars. These are certainly not too far gone. They should come up quite nicely. So I'll show you how it's done. Okay, step one is I'm going to put a bit of masking tape around the headlamp. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use wet and dry sandpaper to sand off that layer of oxidised material. Now I'm going to start with 800 grit sandpaper. If they're really bad you can start with 600. These are, you know, fairly well gone, but I think 800 will do it. And then you progressively work through finer grades, finishing off with 2000 grit. So I'll do 800, then a 1200, 1500 and 2000. And that'll won't take long. It's probably only about 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of rubbing with each grade wet and dry paper, and then we finish off with some polish. Now I've got some plastic polish, but I think even ordinary car polish is as good. I think buying the special headlight lens restoration polish again is just marketing speak. I don't think there's much difference. So that's the basic process, so we'll make a start. The first thing after the masking things up, you want to get yourself a bucket of water and put some soap or detergent in that water and liberally splash water on it while you're rubbing it with the wet and dry paper. So I've got myself a bucket of water down here, and then I'll put a little bit of detergent in there. So our first exercise is going to be with 800 grit. So as you can see, the yellow has gone now, so I think that's enough rubbing with the 800 grit. So now I will move to 1200 grit. Okay, this is 1200 grit paper. Okay, that's probably enough with the 1200, and you can see it's starting to look a lot better. So now I'll move up to 1500. I think that's enough with the 1500, so now we'll go to the last size, which is the fine 2000 grit. And if you can get hold of 2.5 or even 3000 grit, it's worth getting some. These sheets of paper are only about $1 each for this. So that's enough with the 2000 grit. So I've spent a total of about just over 10 minutes. So it doesn't take long. Now I'm going to dry it off with a towel and apply some polish. So now I'm going to start the polishing exercise. This is a plastic polish. So I'll just let that dry for a while, then I'm going to buff it up. So now I'm just buffing it with a clean microfiber cloth. Well, that looks great. But I'm also going to put a layer of polymer car polish on. So with this polish we put it on the lens and then just let it sit there and dry. Alright, the polymer polish is dried to a haze, so I'll buff that. Right, so I think that's good enough. Now that took me less than half an hour for the whole treatment. So the rubbing back and the polishing were two types of polish. And those lights were quite bad, so it's not a big exercise. You don't need the expensive headlight restoration kits, that's just marketing. Ordinary old wet and dry sandpaper and polish will do you fine. Look at that, I can actually see inside the headlight. It's got a big bulb cap and I can see the parking light. If I go over to the other side, you can't see anything. Difference. So there's the rejuvenated lamp, and there's the other lamp.